I'd like to introduce the Asia Online company to you, and how do I go forward?
Down arrow.
Down arrow. The company is both a publisher and a technology tools provider. We initially started the company to try and develop content for a lot of the Southeast Asian region that did not have a lot of content in local languages. And we focused on open source content like the Wikipedia or other mostly knowledge content. And we built MT systems, SMT systems, to try and translate a lot of this content into these languages. The manner in which we did this was very carefully. It was a very close collaboration with human translations, with human translators and the technology platform. So it was a very interactive SMT platform structure. And as we moved further along, and as funding became difficult to continue the Thai and the Indonesian Wikipedia translations, we decided to take the technology platform and sell it into the corporate environment directly. And so it is now we're working with several publishers and major corporations and LSPs who are interested in building custom MT solutions. And as I said, the reason we did this was that there was very little local language content in parts of Southeast Asia, and a population as large as 1 billion people had less than 0.03% content in local languages. That was the problem we were trying to address. So we believe this makes us kind of unique in that we are both a major publisher and user of machine translation technology as well as a tools developer, and there's a constant dialogue between linguists and translation professionals in the company with the people that are actually doing, building the tools. So what we have in terms of a translation platform is a comprehensive suite of capabilities that take you all the way from the bilingual data preparation, the data cleaning, normalization, optimization, preparation, aggregation of TM, gathering of monolingual data, crawlers, a lot of the data acquisition. Then we have a basic SMT engine that has a pre-processing and post-processing capability that handles linguistics. And then there is an environment that allows us to do careful error analysis and build corrective feedback into the systems on an ongoing basis. And the objective is to just take translation into new corporate areas, where it has not been, to expand beyond the standard user doc and user interface and standard marketing stuff, just the high volume dynamic content that is more and more commonplace on the web today. And so basically the product suite consists of some elements that are available only as software as a service, and these tend to be the ones that have the heaviest computing resource requirements. But there are also local installable components that facilitate project management and human editing. We have about 26 languages in total today, and we started with the Euromatrix data set, so we have all the Euromatrix combinations available in some foundation form. We have added and modified the initial data sets that we started with, and we continue to do this and continue to add mostly more linguistic resources on IT, tourism, and news. So the basic engine that we have is it's a hybrid engine, though it has an SMT core, and the engine has the ability to formulate elaborate grammatical rules, like the Japanese to English engine, for example, has a body of rules that's about 200, 250, linguistic rules that facilitate and modify data that's going to go through the SMT engine and give you better results on the SMT process. So this is a continuing, evolving process that continues to grow, and as we get deeper into new languages, we're adding more and more rules infrastructure to all the systems that we have. So the heart of what we do is create custom engines for corporate customers, and we start with this, what we call the foundation data, which a lot of it did come originally from the Europol data, but we've continued to add to it. And we add both bilingual and monolingual data on a regular basis. Then we take customer data and prepare it and merge it into the infrastructure that we have. And there's a process by which you develop diagnostic engines. You look for big major error patterns. You identify high frequency phrasal patterns that exist in the content you want to translate, make sure that those are properly translated by humans, and then there's a feedback loop that gives you continually improving engines. So there's a whole suite of tools there. I'll show you a few screenshots. This is what the standard editing interface looks like. It can be placed in many different ways, depending on the individual translator's preferences. So some may prefer to have the source above and the target below. You can look at individual sentences, and we provide a process flow on the information as you're editing it. So if you look at the the close-up of the stuff there's a confidence score. Then there's data. Everything starts off as it has not been reviewed, and once editors start making changes, it goes through this process and and evolves and is updated. There's version and change tracking in the system, so that when sentences are changed, we maintain and keep all the different versions of the different sentences. It's done relatively in real time. We use we use 3 or 4 automated quality measurement metrics, but we also have user-definable human quality assessment capabilities. So you take a source sentence and the reference and the candidate, and a human translator will rate the kinds of errors that you have there, and then this can be used to generate scores. The basic process of improving an MT engine is to try and identify shortfalls in data. And most data-driven MT engines are clearly a function of the data that you use to build them. And so the more quickly you can identify the errors and the gaps in the coverage, the better these systems can become. And we have a variety of tools that identify, the relationship between what's in the training corpus, between what you want to translate, and the gaps that exist because of this. So when an error is identified, so here's an example where there's a certain French phrase that came through the post-editor corrections. We will go and try and amplify this by finding more examples on the web of the usage of that particular phrase. So you build the engine's capabilities in all the errors that you identify. This data acquisition process can be very specific. You can use specific search engines. You can look at, say, don't take any more than 5 or 10 sentences from each URL that you grab data from. And you can target it to Brazilian Portuguese or Castilian Spanish or whatever it is, so that you have accurate data. And again, this is a human-managed process, and so there's always a human making a decision on what is going to be gathered and added in terms of corpus to the existing engine. So, for example, you see a sentence, the quick brown fox overjumps the lazy dog, and you say, okay, we're going to fix this, and put jumps over. You can also add, 10, 20, 100 other examples of how jumps over is used. And through this process, we believe that the engines learn and continue to improve on with as much feedback as you give it. So what typically happens is you have an initial engine that, and you see the green section there that has the word correct on it. You try and make that as big a piece of the pie as possible, so that the more new data that you see, and the more fixable errors that you've corrected, the better the raw output from the system. And so the easiest errors to fix are spelling and terminology errors, because that's just adding new words into the system. Then you look for things that you've mislearned, or error patterns that need humans to create new corpus. They might manufacture 10, 20 sentences. And there's an obsessive focus within our group on keeping the data clean, because what we've noticed is that the cleaner the data, the more responsive the engines are to human feedback. And so even when we take the Europol data, we discard maybe 30, 40% of it, because it's not trustable. And over time, we're continuing to build foundation domains, both bilingual and monolingual data, to enable to enable our customers to quickly build engines that perform the kinds of things they want them to do quickly, and and they're not completely dependent on their own data resources. So this is an ongoing,
1 minute.
An ongoing effort, and will always continue as the web generates more and more data. So that was my overview. I mean, I'm an active blogger. I'm active on Twitter as well. I've been, sending out tweets about this conference as well, and I'm also the moderator of the MT group in LinkedIn, which has about 1,700 members currently. That's my presentation.
One question? Josef.
You presented the Euromatrix-like display on the language page you addressed. Do you have the same with translation score, or like?
Yeah, if you go to the languagestudio.com website, you'll see it with the scores.
So we thank our speaker and give him a good hand, yes.